What's up everyone, it is I, IdrA and Kane. I'm going to be casting a pro ZVZ on Derelict Watcher today. It's a replay released to me by IdrA, and he's playing against Kane on the ladder. So anyway, we're just going to look and see what happens. In the bottom left half corner we have our red Zerg player, who is of course IdrA. And in the top right we have our blue Zerg player, who's going to be Kane. So I suppose a few things about ZVZ. Originally in Heart of the Swarm at least, ZVZ was very stale, was very stagnant. It just ended up being a Ling Bane war into mass mutas, as both players really didn't move into the late game because the muta balls were just too good. Now with the Spore Crawler buffs making them really potent against Mutalisks and other flying biological units of the Zerg, it seems that Muta Wars have not become that big of a thing, as players are now exploring the use of other units, such as Roach Hydra, turning out to be quite a strong composition in ZVZ, as well as, well, other units. Mutas will also still be used, but not to the extent of as it was beforehand. But it looks like both players are going to be going for the standard hatch first, as Zerg seems to be pretty common nowadays against, well, in the ladder, in competitions. A lot of players do hatch first against Zerg. A lot of players do hatch first against Terran as well, and often against Protoss. It seems to be the very normal idea. Now, IdrA going for an early gas and then a pull, suggesting he wants to get some speedlings before he begins his attack. Same for Kane, although I think this spawning pool placement is going to hinder the collection rate of his gas, but oh no, guess not. Looks like you can actually place the spawning pool right there. So even though your drones don't go in a straight line, it won't actually hinder the resource collection rate. Because obviously if the gas hasn't got a drone in it for even a split second, you can actually slow down your gas collection rate by a fair bit, maybe, or just a little bit. Not entirely sure, haven't exactly made that blunder myself. I normally put my spawning pool behind the mineral line so that it doesn't get spotted that easily. Although in ZVZ you often don't drone scout because you have overlords. Great unit for scouting. They can just float over everything and it's no problem. 2 queens coming out now for both players, so that's pretty normal timing. I think I normally go for this timing as well, where I put the spawning pool down. You put the spawning pool down and it should pop up just as your second hatch is finished, so that you can immediately drop down the 2 queens and then go for speed when the minerals come up. It looks like both players are now going to go for a Baneling nest. I'm pretty sure the positioning of these Baneling nests are considered as offensive Baneling nests, possibly to scare your opponent into making sure that they get Banelings of their own. And also, when it comes to Banelings versus Zerglings, you can only defeat Banelings using Zerglings if you have really good micros. So obviously, both players are going to have to really keep an eye on their micro. These queens need to get right back into working and injecting lava for Kane. Meanwhile, I think a bit of a... Okay, never mind. It looks like IdrA opting not to go for a drone transfer, so deciding instead to just simply make workers and rally them to the second base. But we already have a bit of an attack coming in for Kane now. I think IdrA spots this. He spots the Banelings being morphed in, so he'll have to get ready for an attack of his own. He's only got 2 Banelings. He's morphing in 2 more, 4 more in fact. Now I'm not sure. I think that that was not a very good trade-off for IdrA, as we do see a bunch of Banelings coming in now. But these Banelings are actually just going to come in. Will he actually get the good attack? Yes, he does. He does manage to get rid of quite a lot of Banelings, but unfortunately just not enough. Oh, that one shot, actually a really good trade-off for IdrA. 1 Baneling taking out 3 is always a really good idea. I think IdrA's actually going to just barely hold on. he will need to put out a few drones to kill off those Zerglings, or these Zerglings are actually really low on health. And unless he decides to change them into Banelings, which he won't have enough time for, because the other Zerglings are actually in fact just going to stop that attack, and it looks like the initial pressure is over, as IdrA decides to go for a counterattack. What does Kane have in his base to defend? He does have one Spine Crawler, which should be done. Okay, it wouldn't be done before IdrA attacks unless IdrA decides to make some Banelings, but it looks like Kane, with a good Baneling hit there, does actually manage to take out a lot of IdrA's Lings, meaning that IdrA basically simply cannot do an effective amount of damage. But he does manage to get a bit of scouting done, which is pretty useful. IdrA deciding to throw down a third base right now. I'm not sure if Kane realizes that this is happening. He is going to actually do a counter-attack of his own. IdrA probably awares of this. He's got 2 Banelings ready to go. Overseer actually being morphed right here, which basically reveals to IdrA that Kane is already on Lair Tech. Is IdrA on Lair Tech as well? No, he is not. He's sticking to Hatchery Tech for now. Oh, good head right there, getting rid of all those Banelings, and now he's actually going to go for a counter-attack of his own. Will Kane have anything to respond? Not really. I like Kane's idea of putting the Spine Crawler right here, where the Overlord is pooping, because obviously then it can attack faster, but the problem with that, of course, is that it is easier to get surrounded by the Zerglings. We do have a lot of, we do have 4 Banelings rolling in. Okay, apparently one Baneling can't take out another Baneling with a hit. I would have thought they did. Okay, guess not. Wait, why didn't those 2 Banelings die? They had 10 health left. Wow, okay. So that's random. But anyway, we do have a bit of an engagement right here, and these Banelings are not very good shots, I think. This Spine Crawler is actually doing quite a bit of damage, hindering the attack of IdrA, but there's still quite a lot of Lings. We'll see how well this goes now, as these Banelings are trying to get rid of the Queen. I'm not entirely sure that's such a great idea. Quite a lot of damage done to Kane, as he needs to evacuate his drones now, and it looks like the Mutalisks have actually come out. So the Lair Tech advantage of Kane is actually starting to happen, as he can actually just clean this up with the Mutalisks. As these drones move out now, it looks like the Mutable is... well, the Mutable has been revealed, which is why IdrA is going to drop down 3 Spore Crawlers, actually. None of it is natural, which I think is not such a good idea, but we do have... okay, we have one here. We have... oh, there is one in this natural, okay. But the Mutable obviously not going to be able to take out this Spore Crawler before it takes a huge amount of damage. Remember, Spore Crawlers, they do 45 damage versus Mutalisks, and Mutalisks have 120 health, which means they can basically 3-shot a Mutalisk. Yes, 3-shot a Mutalisk, which is why using Mutalisk to take out Spore Crawlers is not actually a very good idea. As both players are now sort of holding back for a little bit, we do see a Hydralisk Den from IdrA, meaning that he's not going to go for Mutalisks himself. He's actually going to try and go for the counter to Mutalisks, if you may, which is in fact Hydralisks. However, one thing you have to remember, even if Hydras are really good against Mutalisks, if there's way too many Mutas, you're simply not going to build enough Hydras to get the right positioning so that all the Hydras can attack, because Mutalisks being air units, they can just clump up and then attack, and all of them will be attacking, whereas Hydras, you really need to find a good positioning to be right under the Mutalisks in order to deal full damage. But of course, these Hydras will be able to scare the Mutas away for a bit. You can see already a couple of shots on those Mutalisks do a lot of damage. Swarmhost coming out for Kane now, which is actually a pretty interesting idea. Normally people say that you use Swarmhost versus Protoss, maybe versus Terran, but oftentimes you don't use it versus Zerg. We'll see how IdrA decides to react to that. We do have the Enduring Locust upgrade being researched, which means Kane is probably going to be committing quite heavily to these swarm hosts. I think swarm hosts will be a good idea against those hydralisks. The locusts, but not only are they just free units, but they're also really strong. They can actually do quite a lot of damage very quickly. I mean, I think it's 16 damage, and it's actually quite a high firing rate. 16 damage, or is it 6 damage? I can't remember. We'll find out soon enough, because the first swarm host is here. I don't think IdrA knows about this. He may have caught a whiff of the infestation pit, but he doesn't know if there's infestors coming out or swarm hosts. Well, we've already got 5 swarm hosts. He's making 5 more, so we're going to be seeing 10 swarm hosts coming out very soon. What will IdrA use to respond? Roach Hydra, apparently. I don't think that's such a good idea. He is getting an overseer though, so that's definitely going to be useful for the engagement. Did he actually take out a Mutalisk? That's pretty good, but there is a changeling there, so Kane already knowing that there are in fact quite a few Hydras in this mix. See how well he decides. See what he decides to do to respond to this, as he just continues to make more and more swarm hosts and more roaches. Both players, surprisingly, at a very similar supply. Although if we bring up the army tab, they're actually quite even. So that's interesting. But I think IdrA now knows that there are in fact swarm hosts. As you can see, he has decided to drop down the infestation pit right now. If we look at the oh, it's 12 attack, 12 damage. But they still attack pretty quickly. If from memory, 0.8, they attack just a little bit faster than a Hydralisk, and a Hydralisk is pretty fast at attacking. So of course these swarm hosts are going to do quite a bit of damage as the as the locusts actually just sit here and wait for themselves to time out. Probably sucks being a locust if you think about it, because you just know that you have a very specifically timed life, and that after a certain period you just explode. Now IdrA is floating on quite a lot of minerals and resources. I think he's just making 8 swarm hosts, just getting the resources ready to just make those swarm hosts as quickly as he can. He is of course getting the enduring locust ability as well. Now, protecting this overseer is going to be very critical, because obviously if you don't have any detection, you won't be able to kill the swarm hosts. I mean, unless you have ultras which do splash damage and you're attacking the locusts that are on top of the swarm hosts. I mean, okay, here's the thing. The logic is sort of a little all over the place. I mean, swarm hosts are essentially burrowed units. They're underground, and yet a swipe at units that are above ground from an Ultralisk is apparently going to do splash damage to the units that are underground. Doesn't really sound right to me, but anyway, we do see a huge attack coming in from Kane, as he is actually just going to try and attack nothing. He's just going to go back and defend, as we do now see swarm host versus swarm host. With a queen, this random queen here is actually going to get sniped already, so that poor queen not doing anything really. There's no overseer here though, so these locusts are not going to attack anything. They're actually just going to attack the other locusts, as we do have a massive swarm host v swarm host army. And unfortunately for IdrA, Kane has his overseer right here, which means he can see everything. Where are his mutas? I thought that the mutas would be flying around. I'm not entirely sure where they are. They might have actually gotten killed. If we bring up the units tab, he only has 1 muta left, which is apparently right here. But the big battle is ensuing of just mass roach versus mass roach swarm host versus roach hydra swarm host. Now I don't think IdrA has enough swarm hosts. He is making more and more. He's making more swarm hosts and more roaches, so that may be a good idea, especially against this army. But with no anti-air from Kane, this this overseer, he might as well just take it away from his control group and just place it right over these swarm hosts, just in case his army manages to make it all the way over, so that he can actually attack those swarm hosts. Because what he really needs to do is he needs to get some zerglings and sort of come in from behind and just try and hack away at those swarm hosts. Because you've got to remember, swarm hosts, they don't actually have that much health, nor do they have that much armor. They do have 1 armor, so that's going to help a bit. It's just a bunch of free units versus a bunch of free units right now. It's like Broodlord versus Broodlord, although we didn't really see that often. It's turning into a pretty big stalemate as both players trying to scramble to figure out a means of countering each other. I really do think a bit of a counter-attack on these swarm hosts would be a really good idea, as Kane decides to unburrow his swarm hosts and move them over. I don't think IdrA realizes that there's actually no anti-air apart from just 1 Mutalisk and 3 Queens, but of course those Queens don't exactly count. So really, he can actually just move the Overseers over, and he's this swarm host is actually going to get sniped. A bit of focus firing on those swarm hosts would be a really good idea from both players right now. I think Zerglings would be a really good idea at this point in time. Unfortunately for IdrA, he is almost completely flight capped. So we'll see how that goes. Now, unfortunately for IdrA, just as he reaches those swarm hosts, the next wave of locusts actually do pop out. Bit of an unfortunate problem. Oh, but he does manage to get 1 swarm host, so maybe he can break through. But right now, Kane is very vulnerable right now. He needs to get the locusts out to defend against IdrA's huge army of roaches, hydras, just a lot of swarm hosts. Both players opting to just continually getting swarm hosts and roaches, so this is actually turning out to be a very mirrored matchup right now. I think these hydras are actually the differentiating factor for IdrA as opposed to Kane, because you're going to remember hydras, they do have an extra range. So then, so basically, if the roaches are attacking, the hydras can stand behind the roaches, and of course attack, meaning that the DPS of IdrA is currently just a little bit higher than Kane. Of course, Kane, I think he has a slight swarm host advantage, although just 1 swarm host is not going to cut it. He needs to get even more units out. He needs to somehow get something, anything, maybe even banelings. He needs to try and just clear out a whole wave of locusts in 1 foul swoop, so that his locust at least can actually attack. Now it looks like another swarm host for Kane has been destroyed, meaning that Kane really needs to keep up the defense. He needs to get his roaches to actually attack IdrA's roaches. And if we look at the upgrade advantage, it looks like IdrA is actually on an armor upgrade advantage, as both players, I'm pretty sure, are actually not on Hive. Is that Hive? No, it's Lair. Yeah, both players are still sitting on Lair tech, as they've opted not to go for any upgrades. I think it looks like +2 armor for Kane is still being researched, meaning that IdrA really needs to try and push his upgrade advantage and try and break the swarm host line. But what can you do, really? I mean, I think for IdrA, I don't think he realizes that there wasn't a Hydra den for quite a while, which is why he should have gone for Mutas himself and possibly swing around and do as much damage to those swarm hosts before the Hydras come out. But it looks like Kane also opting to get Hydras as well, so we could be seeing a bit of a stalemate for quite a while. I like the focus firing of IdrA, getting his locusts to just simply focus fire down the swarm hosts, ignoring the roaches, ignoring the locusts. Because you got to remember, it's just the locusts that are killing the swarm hosts, meaning that a free unit is in fact killing units that cost resources. And bit of a blunder for Root Kane actually. You've got to actually borrow those units when they come into the battlefield, otherwise they're just going to get sniped, and the more swarm hosts that you lose in this swarm host battle, it's just going to be more and more of a problem more of an advantage for your opponent, but right now it looks like IdrA and Kane both trying to find a way of defeating the stalemate. A bunch of lanes are coming in now, and unfortunately I think Kane should get some Zerglings from this base and swing them around, sort of swing them around from behind, and try and get an overseer over these swarm hosts, so that you can try and just destroy all the swarm hosts before another wave of locusts come in. But right now it looks like both players still trying to hold on as IdrA continues to press the attack. Kane, of course, still on a bit of a defensive right now. Now Kane placed a Hydra down, but he didn't really make any Hydras. No, he hasn't made any Hydras, which I think is a bit of a problem, but oh, it looks like Kane is going to actually find a sweet timing just as a few more locusts pop out, so unfortunate for him. But both players once again still pressing forth. We do have Hive being researched by IdrA. He's going to try and get another upgrade advantage. Meanwhile, +2 attack, +3 attack actually for Kane is already starting to be researched, which means basically that Kane actually had a bit of an upgrade. Kane had a Hive advantage. Or will he actually get killing off a few of IdrA's swarm hosts? This lucky swarm host managing to stay alive. One shot more and Kane's locust would have actually killed that swarm host. That would have been pretty significant, in that it would mean basically that each wave of locusts would be even less. And this game is actually turning out to be very action-packed. We'll see whether Kane can actually break through IdrA's defense, or offense actually, or whether IdrA's offense can break through Kane's defense, as +3 attack is being researched for Kane. As soon as that happens, I think Kane will have the upper edge. Is IdrA going to consider getting +3? He's not, apparently. He decided not to get +3. I think that's a really good idea. To get +3 attack and armor would be really important at this point in time. But +3 is just about finished for Kane. He's only got 1 minute left, on 1 minute and a bit to go. So he has to just defend, make sure that IdrA can't break through before that +3 is done, especially since the Evo chamber is actually really close to the battle. Like, normally you put an Evo chamber like in your main base, but in this case it looks like the Evo chamber is going to stay behind, and this battle is just continuing. 40 seconds left before +3 is done, in which then Kane will have an upgrade advantage, and I think this is a really smart move for Kane to get that upgrade advantage, because obviously right now the stalemate it's too big, it's too much, and right now a lot of IdrA's units that require resources are currently getting taken out. Meanwhile, IdrA is just continuing to well, he's actually going to start his +3 now. I don't think he realizes that, in fact, the +3 of Kane is starting to kick in, and as you can see, IdrA needs to retreat. These swarm hosts are actually going to get picked off one by one, as the +3 advantage for Kane is starting to really show how the difference between +3 and +2 even in a stalemate like that is going to do a lot of it's going to give you a lot of difference, as Kane now he is going to press the attack, possibly counter attack, we'll see. But I think both players need to consider transitioning into something else now. I'm thinking Ultralisks might be a good idea, or at least for Kane, maybe Broodlords might be a good idea as well. We'll see, because I think Broodlords and ZVZ are actually really good. Nobody's ever gotten around to using it though, so we'll find out soon enough. Looks like the late game Zerg has not been explored just yet, not even after several months. Now Kane is actually really low on minerals, but luckily he is mining from one base. This base is actually amazingly oversaturated, like just so oversaturated. But unfortunately his other two bases are not mining. It seems to be roughly the same for IdrA as well, so both players not mining that many minerals anymore. This is actually going to reach We're actually going to reach almost the ending, perhaps, unless both players decide to expand. Now, the +3 advantage for Kane is about to become irrelevant because IdrA's +3 is just about done. There it is, which means both players once again on a similar level playing field. Okay. But I think the I think IdrA's mass hydras might actually be the key to solving this, although he is now a little bit supply blocked. Actually, no, being supply blocked at this point in time is actually is actually a bad thing for IdrA because, well, he can't make more units. He can't make more units right now, and as long as, oh, it looks like Kane actually crumbling now. Not entirely sure why. I think it may be because there's just so many hydras, and he's actually got a sick concave on Kane's units. Kane already losing a lot of units, and he doesn't have any minerals, which means he can't remake all of those units. He just needs to try and defend with everything he has left. More and more roaches being made by IdrA, and I think if the last of the swarm hosts get killed, Kane needs to focus down these overseers. Or else it's, oh no, he's put the swarm host on the move command, and there it is, GG from Kane. Huge game right there, swarm host versus swarm host. Oftentimes it's just a bit of a stalemate until you can get like an upgrade advantage or just some small advantage, no matter how minor it can get. You just need to get something over your opponent so that you can actually beat them. I think in the end it was more just a positioning advantage for IdrA, as he did manage to get a concave on all the units, meaning that all those hydras, which already are actually really high DPS units, they could do even more damage and attack even faster. Well, not really faster, they just did more damage. So anyway, that was an interesting game from sent to me, sent to all the subscribers of IdrA's Twitch channel. So you can go and check him out at twitch.tv/IdrAjet from memory. Yeah, you can also follow him on Twitter at IdrA. Not IdrAjet anymore. Actually, he did change his Twitter a while back after being released from EG, and he still streams. He does all sorts of random things. It's he also is trying to learn Terran as well, because why not learn the race that's winning a lot of tournaments these days. So anyway, thanks for watching. You can subscribe to my channel at youtube.com/magician88. You can also follow me on Twitter at magician88. Yeah, alright, so until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye!